Maggie awoke to the cold, sterile glow of fluorescent lights above her. Her head throbbed, and her side burned with a deep, aching pain. She tried to move, but her wrists were bound to the metal arms of a chair. Panic surged through her veins as she looked around, her eyes adjusting to the dimly lit, windowless room. She was in a basement, concrete walls, exposed pipes, the faint hum of an old boiler in the corner. The air was damp and heavy, carrying the metallic scent of rust and stale water. She strained against the ropes, her pulse quickening as memories of the train ride flooded back. The argument, the thud, the dismissive security officer, the dark alley. Someone had grabbed her. Someone who didn't want her talking. A door creaked open, and heavy footsteps approached. The man from the train, the one with the cold eyes and the scar, stepped into the light. He carried a small, leather-bound notebook, flipping it open as he came closer. "Still digging, I see," he said, his voice dripping with mock amusement. "You just couldn't let it go, could you?" Maggie glared at him, fear mixing with a rising anger. "What do you want from me?" she spat, her voice trembling but defiant. He chuckled, closing the notebook with a sharp snap. "It's not what I want, Maggie. It's what you know. You see, people like you, the ones who don't know when to walk away, they become a liability." She tightened her jaw, refusing to give him the satisfaction of seeing her break. "I'm not afraid of you." He stepped closer, leaning in until his face was just inches from hers, the scar on his cheek catching the dim light. "You should be," he whispered, his breath cold against her skin. "Because no one is coming to save you." Maggie felt the icy grip of fear tighten around her heart. She had always considered herself strong, independent, but this was beyond anything she had ever faced. She was trapped, alone, and completely at his mercy. But then, in that moment of despair, something snapped inside her. She remembered Sophie Reynolds, the woman on the train, the one whose life had been silenced by this same man. She wouldn't let herself be another forgotten victim. With a sudden burst of adrenaline, Maggie twisted her wrists, feeling the rough ropes bite into her skin. She leaned forward, slamming her forehead into the man's nose. He staggered back, cursing as blood streamed from his face. Maggie wasted no time. She twisted her wrists harder, the ropes cutting deeper, but finally giving way. She sprang to her feet, her legs weak but driven by pure survival instinct. She grabbed the heavy, rusted pipe from the corner, swinging it with all her strength as the man lunged at her. The pipe connected with a sickening crunch, and he dropped to the ground, clutching his head, his eyes wild with shock and pain. Gasping for air, Maggie stumbled toward the door. She could hear voices now, hurried footsteps approaching. She had to move. She had to get out. She bolted up the concrete steps, the echo of her own frantic breaths bouncing off the narrow walls. She burst into the cool night air, her body trembling, her mind a chaotic swirl of fear and determination. She didn't stop running, even as her bare feet scraped against the gravel, even as her lungs burned with each ragged breath. Finally, she reached the edge of the city, a small, run-down diner with flickering neon lights. She burst through the door, the bell above it clanging wildly as the patrons turned to stare. She collapsed onto the floor, her voice hoarse and desperate. "Help me," she gasped, her body shaking uncontrollably. "Please, someone help me." As the stunned waitress grabbed the phone to call 911, Maggie lay there on the cold, tiled floor, her mind already slipping into darkness. She had escaped, but the nightmare was far from over. She had become a witness, a target, and she knew that as long as she was alive, the people behind Sophie's death would never stop coming for her. The lights of the approaching police cars bathed the diner in a harsh, red glow. Maggie's eyes fluttered closed, her body too exhausted to resist the pull of unconsciousness. But in that moment, as the sirens wailed and the world around her blurred into a twisted, chaotic whirl of noise and fear, one thought remained clear in her mind. She would not be silenced. Maggie awoke in a hospital bed, the steady beeping of the heart monitor echoing in her ears. She felt the cool, starched sheets against her skin, the distant murmur of voices in the hallway. She opened her eyes, blinking against the harsh overhead lights. Her entire body ached, but she was alive. A uniformed officer sat beside her bed, his face stern but kind. "You're safe now, Miss Turner," he said softly. "We got your statement. You were right. There's a massive cover-up involving the train company and a powerful syndicate. Your bravery saved lives." Maggie's eyes filled with tears. She had made it. She had broken free. She had exposed the truth. The officer rose to leave, pausing at the door. "You're a hero, Maggie. Don't forget that." As he stepped out, Maggie leaned back against the pillow, staring at the ceiling as the weight of it all hit her. She had survived, but at a cost. She would forever carry the scars of that train ride, but she had also found something she never thought she'd possess again: courage. In the weeks that followed, as the media swarmed her for interviews and the train company scrambled to contain the scandal, Maggie found herself thrust into a world she never expected. A world where her voice had power. She became an advocate for victims, a relentless force for justice. She refused to be just another headline, another forgotten voice. She would not be silenced again. As she walked out of the hospital, the sun warm on her face, Maggie realized something profound. She had been broken, bruised, and battered, but she had also been reborn. She had found her purpose, her voice, and she would use it to ensure that others like Sophie Reynolds never became mere whispers on a midnight train. And this time, she knew the truth. The man with the scar was just the beginning. The real puppet masters were still out there, hidden in the shadows, pulling the strings. She would find them. She would expose them. And she would not stop until every last one of them faced justice. She whispered to herself as she stepped into the bustling city streets, "I'm just getting started." Maggie had become the hunter, and this time, she would not rest until every last shadow was exposed to the light. Follow this channel, like, and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. Thank you for watching and engaging.